In the land of ancient secrets, on the banks of the Great Nile, there was a woman. She was not just a queen. She was the last of the pharaohs. She was a legend. She was Cleopatra. Cleopatra was born into the Ptolemaic dynasty. Queen Cleopatra VII, often known as Cleopatra, is one of the most famous rulers in ancient Egyptian history, and the last king of the Ptolemaic dynasty. Born in 69 BC, she belonged to the Ptolemaic dynasty that ruled Egypt after the death of Alexander the Great. She is of Greek Macedonian origin, not Egyptian. However, she is said to have been one of the few rulers who learned the Egyptian language and adopted Egyptian customs, which earned her the love of the Egyptian people, and she became the first ruler to master the language of her Egyptian people. She was strong, intelligent, and beautiful, but she was trapped inside palaces filled with conspiracies and family disputes. Her first battle for the throne began when she fought her brother for her right to rule. Cleopatra was the daughter of King Ptolemy XII. After her father's death, she took over the throne in 51 BC with her brother Ptolemy XIII, as it was the Ptolemaic custom for siblings to share power. But soon differences arose between Cleopatra and her brother, which led to a struggle for power, but she knew that power alone would not be enough. Alliances were necessary. In a bold move, Cleopatra turned to the great Roman Emperor, Julius Caesar, in the midst of the conflict with her brother, and sought to win him over to support her. The relationship between her and Caesar resulted in a strong political alliance and also an emotional relationship that resulted in the birth of their son, Caesarion. Caesar returned to Rome after achieving his interests in Egypt, and she knew how to win his heart and mind. That night, an emotional and political story began that changed the fate of civilizations, and Cleopatra became the sole ruler of Egypt after the death of her brother and the Battle of the Nile. Cleopatra gave birth to a son from Caesar, whom she named Caesarion. Together, Cleopatra ruled Egypt, becoming a full-powered queen, seeking to restore the glory of the pharaohs, but fate had a new test for her. After the assassination of Julius Caesar in 44 BC, Cleopatra entered into a relationship with Mark Antony, one of the prominent Roman leaders and one of Caesar's successors. The relationship between them lasted for several years and they had 3 children. The two exploited their relationship to achieve political goals, and formed a strong alliance against Octavian, Julius Caesar's heir, but it was a dangerous alliance. Together, they stood against Octavian, the ambitious emperor of Rome. Cleopatra wanted to protect her king, Antony wanted to protect his love. But Rome was not easily defeated, and the Battle of Actium broke out, the battle that determined their fate. The conflict between Octavian, Cleopatra, and Mark Antony led to the Battle of Actium in 31 BC, where Octavian's fleet defeated Cleopatra and Antony's forces. After the defeat, Antony and Cleopatra returned to Egypt, but Octavian's forces followed them and besieged Alexandria. Realizing their impending defeat, Mark Antony took his own life after false rumors spread that Cleopatra had died, and Cleopatra followed suit a few days later after learning of Antony's death and defeat, in 30 BC, where it is believed that she used the venom of a viper Egyptian cobra to end her life. Her death marked the end of the Ptolemaic era, and Egypt became a vassal state of the Roman Empire. Cleopatra lost, but her pride did not. As Octavian and his soldiers approached Alexandria, Cleopatra chose to remain a legend, to die as a queen, not as a captive. And with a poisonous bite from the Egyptian cobra, Cleopatra bid farewell to the world, leaving behind a legacy of beauty, strength and cunning. It was her end, but she became an immortal symbol of female cunning and strength throughout time. Thus ended the story of the last pharaoh kings, the queen who was not defeated except by her own decision. When the priests learned of the death of Queen Cleopatra and the approach of the Romans to Egypt, they gathered all the secrets of the Egyptian state from spells and secrets, and boarded sea ships and went to the ends of the earth, with their secrets that have not been revealed until now. You can imagine where they reached and made icebergs for themselves to protect them from the enemies coming to them. This is a possibility, and the certainty is that Egypt is still hiding its secrets.